Senator McCarthy.
Madam Acting Deputy President, I'd like to just share with the Senate an incredible weekend in the Northern Territory with the Northern Territory election, and just commend Chief Minister Michael Gunner on being able to take a second term for himself and his team. And I just wanted to commend all the candidates of the Australian Labor Party who stood in the seats across the Northern Territory, such a vast territory that it is, and just put on the Hansard the hard work that the Labor Party has been doing, in particular through the COVID crisis. And I do think that we do need to put on the record that this was the first election during the COVID pandemic, and I know that for every single candidate it was important to feel safe and to know that they were able to speak to the people across the territory. And I do want to acknowledge, Madam Acting Deputy President, the frontline workers, our health practitioners, the Northern Territory Police, certainly on our borders, not just on the roads but also at the airports, along with the AFP and the Australian Army, and of course certainly in our airports. So I'd like to just acknowledge those candidates who stood for Labor, for Arafura, Lawrence Costa, Araluen, Jackson Anchors, Arnhem, Selina Yubo, Barclay, Sid Vashist, Blaine, Mark Turner, Breitling, Dale Wakefield, Casuarina, Lauren Moss, Daly, Anthony Venez, Drysdale, Eva Lawler, Fong Lim, Mark Monaghan, Goyder, Mick Taylor, Guadja, Chancey Pake, Johnston, Joel Bowden, Karama, Naria Kit, Catherine, Kate Ganley, Mulca, Lynn Walker, Namatjira, Shirley Taylor, Nelson, Steve Asher, Nightcliffe, Natasha Files, Port Darwin, Paul Kirby, Sanderson, Kate Wharton, Spillett, Tristan Sloan, and Wanguri, Nicole Manison. And also thank our Labor members and volunteers across the Northern Territory, in particular our First Nations Workers Alliance, Unions NT. The unions were out supporting our candidates, the CPSU, United Workers Union, CFMEU, MUA, ETU, ASU, SDA, AMWU, TWU, AWU. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who supported our candidates across the Northern Territory. It is indeed important, Madam Acting Deputy President, to acknowledge the supporters and volunteers who come together at election time, the supporters who are in the background but who are very much at the forefront of driving hundreds, if not thousands of kilometres across the territory to follow the Northern Territory Electoral Commission and their teams. It was a significant task even for the Northern Territory Electoral Commission to have the staff that they had, to poll at all the booths that they did in some of the remotest regions of the Northern Territory. I commend you for your efforts in those areas. As difficult and as challenging as it is physically and geographically, we still have a lot of work to do in understanding why it is that First Nations voters are being disengaged in most of our remote regions of Northern Australia, not just the Northern Territory. It will also occur in Queensland and WA and also South Australia. So it's important that the Senate and the Parliament make sure it resources the Australian Electoral Commission. We've seen a reduction in the workforce, especially with the AEC and other federal agencies, in particular in the Northern Territory, like the Bureau of Meteorology, just to name the two of those. If we had further resourcing, appropriate resourcing, we know we could have the educational and information programs out there across the regions as to why voting is significant, and to make sure it is in the languages, over 100 Aboriginal languages in the Northern Territory. So if we want to make sure, whether it's local government, state or territory government, or federal elections, I should say, whether it's local elections, state or territory elections or federal elections, we must make sure all Australians are enrolled. And I think that is the real challenge for every single senator and every single member of federal parliament, to ensure that we are getting people on the roll so that they have their say when it comes to elections.
Thank you, Senator McCarthy.